Good morning, lovelies. Hello, hello. We are going to go into Esther. Trying to plan out just a little bit. Covered 3 parts. This story is so lush with a lot of little details. Even though it's such a short book, I have to break it up just a little bit to encapsulate all of the things that go on here in Esther. But we're almost done. We may be able to wrap it up with one more too. We shall see. But let's go ahead and start with this part 3 here. And I have a quote that fits really nicely with this section. And it does have some relevance too with what we were discussing on revenge. It says here, revenge is kind of a wild justice, which the more a man's nature runs to, the more ought law to weed it out. All right, so we've talked about how it is better, if not best, to abstain from even the emotions of revenge. As we learn here, this dreaded Haman, okay, he's seeking a lot of hatred towards the Jewish people, all due to the actions of Mordecai. As we remember, Mordecai was Esther's father figure. I guess I would like to say brother, but it was really her cousin, and who took up the position of her father figure. But Mordecai refused to bow down to Haman, as he was given this great elevation in the eyes of the king. So Haman took that rage and that jealousy, and he wanted to exterminate all of the Israelites, all of those who were of Jewish descent. Obviously, Esther is also of Jewish descent, but she did not reveal her true identity to the king Xerxes during this time of her being queen. And who's to show she may reveal that? That's why she's feeling this fear, this worry that she actually might be put to death herself. So this quote here is from Bacon, and again, abstaining from revenge, because the more you put your hateful energy towards something, it sure is to backfire. So we leave judgment, we leave justice in the hands of the Lord. So of course Mordecai does not take any action, but Haman is completely encapsulated. There must be something deeply rooted going on other than the fact that Mordecai didn't just bow down. I feel like that's such a trivial issue, something totally absurd to brew hate of a people or a nation off of. So there must be something deeper that is not completely revealed. But let's go ahead and read this little section here. Starting in chapter 5 in the book of Esther. It says, on the 3rd day, Esther put on her royal robes and stood in the inner court of the palace, in front of the king's hall. The king was sitting on his royal throne in the hall, facing the entrance. Then he saw Queen Esther and asked, what is it, Queen Esther? What is your request? Even up to half the kingdom, it will be given to you. So it's clear that the king really loves her. Okay, he will do anything that she asks or says, even not the whole kingdom, but half the kingdom is entitled to her, which is befitting given her stance that she is the queen. And she says, if it pleases the king, replied Esther, let the king, together with Haman, come today to a banquet I have prepared for him. So she has this plan to go ahead and host a banquet with just the two and maybe some of her consorts as well. But it's supposed to be seen as a royal honor for both, especially Haman, but both the king and Haman. So the king and Haman went to the banquet Esther had prepared. As they were drinking wine, the king asked Esther, now what is your petition? It will be given to you. Esther replied, my petition and my request is this. If the king regards me with favor, and if it pleases the king to grant my petition and fulfill my request, let the king and Haman come tomorrow to the banquet I will prepare for them. Then I will answer the king's question. So it seems like here she's working up a bit of courage. Maybe she is a little bit, I know she is, she's a lot of bit scared to go ahead and petition the king to discard of Haman, that Haman has this evil plan. Although the king is kind of aware of what Haman is going on, he's not putting any energy or any attention to it. He's just kind of waving him off and saying, yes, go do what you want to do. But Esther, of course, has this great fear because it could actually be very, very detrimental to herself and her peoples. So she's building up the courage. She's really buttering them up, making sure they're drinking and in high spirits. And after this first night of the banquet, Haman is ecstatic. He's like, wow, the queen herself, just me and the king, we had a banquet together. He goes and he's happy, and he sees Mordecai outside the gates as Haman is going to his family. And Mordecai does not look at him. He does not pay any respect. And then, even though Haman is in these high spirits, that really bothers him. It really bothers him. He's brewing this negativity inside of him. So he goes to his family and he tells them the good things, like, oh yes, I was invited to this banquet. The king really is concerned about me. He wants to elevate me, and the the queen, I was picked out by her, and it was just me at the banquet, very happy. But then he throws in the part with Mordecai, how Mordecai was causing him a lot of distress because he would not pay respects. So his wife, Haman's wife, actually suggested, why don't you go to the king and ask to impale Mordecai? That way it would teach everybody a lesson as to how to treat the king's right hand, or however he was ordained. Cut to the different scene here. That night, the king could not sleep. He was probably racking his brain thinking about what could be bothering Esther, what she is going to ask, but he could not sleep, so he ordered the book of Chronicles, the record of his reign, to be brought to him. It was found recorded there that Mordecai had exposed Bigthana and Cheresh, two of the king's officers who guarded the doorway, who had conspired to assassinate King Xerxes. Now this actually happened at some point in the beginning. Mordecai actually protected the king. He informed somebody who informed the king that these two were actually going to assassinate him. This was unknowing, obviously. King Xerxes did not know about this, and so he's asking, he's like, I can't believe this happened and almost happened. What honor and recognition has Mordecai received for this? The king asked. And then they responded, nothing has been done for him, his attendants answered. But then they're like trying to communicate this to him, but Haman excuse me, I don't know if you can hear the plane. Haman is kind of standing outside getting ready to ask the king to impale Mordecai. So the king's like, who's standing in the court? And the attendant's like, it's like Haman. And then the king's like, bring him in, the king ordered. Okay. When Haman entered, the king asked him, what should be done for the man the king delights to honor? So in King Xerxes' mind, he's thinking of Mordecai. He's just done this great thing, and now he's going to ask Haman of his advice, since he's right there thinking of something else. And so when the king proposes this question, of course Haman is thinking, oh, I'm the man the king delights to honor. How pleasant. So he answers the king, for the man the king delights to honor, have them bring a royal robe the king has worn, and a horse the king has ridden, one with a royal crest placed on his head. Then let the robe and the horse be entrusted to one of the king's most noble princes. Let them robe the man the king delights to honor, and lead him on a horse to the city streets, proclaiming before him, this is what is done for the man the king delights to honor. Alright, so again, showing a little bit of Haman's character. We saw the dark side, and this is, I guess, maybe an extension to the dark side, but he's very elaborate, okay? He wants to be glorified, he wants to be honored. He's thinking all of these things because this is what he wants done for him. So, comically enough, the king's like, go at once, the king commanded Haman. Get the robe and the horse, and do just as you have suggested for Mordecai the Jew, who sits at the gate. Do not neglect anything you have recommended. So this is done for Mordecai, as the king had thought of. Okay, get the robe and the horse, and do just as you suggested for Mordecai. So this is really like a slap in the face for Haman, obviously, right? He's going to have Mordecai impaled. That was his intention. But now he has to go dress him up in a robe, something that was his idea, and put him on a royal horse and parade him throughout the city, letting everybody know that he has taken a great honor for the king, or he has accomplished a great honor for the king. So just a little bit of note about revenge and how it can backfire. When we as mortal individuals think of revenge or topics of revenge, even if it's just in thought, right? This was something that, of course, Mordecai was trying to carry out in a great rage, but it was really just kind of a thought that was not even announced yet to the king, this specific instance here with Mordecai. So you see how that backfires? You see how it backfires. So again, in topics of revenge, it's best just to refrain as best as you can, because you don't know the interworkings of every other situation. But I think that's a comical part there, and I do enjoy seeing that. It does get a bit more serious. We'll learn here in the next part, and we'll see, maybe 1 to 2 parts. This was kind of short, but I think you guys deserve just a little bit of more, a shorter, relaxing type of video. So I appreciate you guys listening. Thanks for tuning in this morning, and I will catch you again to discover what happens next. Have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.